Hello everybody! In this lesson I will explain how you can use the Theorem of Pythagoras in geometry, and this is part of the Grade 8 syllabus. Example 1. Determine the perimeter and area of the triangle. Now, in order for us to find the perimeter, we need the length of all three sides. Now, the side that's missing here is KL. And you can see that it's a right angle triangle, so we will use the Theorem of Pythagoras to find the length of KL. First, why don't we label ML as little k, MK as little l, and KL as little m, just to make it a little bit easier. So we can start with the Theorem of Pythagoras always by saying hypotenuse squared is equal to one side squared plus the other side squared, and your reason Pythagoras. Then hypotenuse is the side that's opposite the right angle, so it's little k. In other words, k squared is equal to l squared plus m squared. K is 17 squared equals l is 8 squared plus m squared. In the next step, 17 squared means 17 times 17, not 17 times 2. So 17 times 17 is 289 equals, and 8 squared means 8 times 8, which is 64 plus m squared. Then we will solve m, so the 64 will walk across, it becomes negative, and we end with 225 is equal to m squared. But we don't want m squared, we only want m. So therefore we can take the square root both sides, and we end with m is 15. So now that we know m is 15, we can work out the perimeter. So the perimeter means k plus l plus m. 17 plus 8 plus 15, and that will give you 40 centimeters. Then in the next question, they wanted the area of the triangle. So therefore, we can say that the area of a triangle is equal to half times base times perpendicular height. Half times, and the base is little l, and the perpendicular height is little m. So we end with half times 8 times 15, and the answer, the area, 16 centimeters squared. Example 2. First, calculate the length of x and then the area of the figure. So when we go to the figure, we can see that the bottom side is 7 meters. But if we add that line, then we can say that, okay, wait, this is a square. So if this one is 3, then this one is also 3. And since the whole thing is 7, then we can say 7 minus 3, then this little part will be 4 meters. Then to find the length of x, just have a look here. Since this is a square, this angle will be a right angle, and that angle will also be a right angle. Therefore, we can say that that's indeed a right angle triangle. And then, because it's a square, we know that this one will also be 3 meters. So now we can find x, since x is the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle. And then to find the hypotenuse in a right angle triangle, we will use the Theorem of Pythagoras. And we will always start with hypotenuse squared is equal to one side squared plus the other side squared, and we write Pythagoras. Then in terms of our little triangle, hypotenuse is x squared equals 3 squared plus 4 squared. And then remember, 3 squared means 3 times 3, which is 9, plus 4 squared means 4 times 4, which is 16. Then on the right hand side, 9 plus 16 is 25. And then we end with x squared is 25. But we don't want x squared, we only want x. Therefore, we will take the square root both sides, and we end with x is equal to 5. So this is the length of x, and now the area of the figure. So the figure, it's clear, consists of a square and a right angle triangle. Let's start with, oh, there's the 5. Let's start with the area of a square is length times length, 3 times 3, which is 9 meters squared. And then the little triangle is a right angle triangle. So the area, the formula for the area of a triangle is half times base times perpendicular height. Half times 4 times 3, which is 6 meters squared. And then, so the area of the figure, we will say 9 plus 6 is 15 meters squared. Example 3. Henry wants to make a kite. Help him to do the following calculations. Number A, the lengths of the sides. Now when you go to the sketch, you can see, or it's kite. So therefore, AE is equal to EC, because that's one of the properties of a kite, is that diagonal will bisect the other one. And the length was given that AC is 48, therefore AE will be 24. And remember, bisect means cut in half. So now we know AE's length is 24. This thing is definitely not drawn to scale. Now, what are we looking for? The lengths of the sides. So if we go to triangle ABE, that is a right angle. Now you'll say, but it's not given that it's a right angle, but it is, since this is a kite, and one of the properties of a kite is that they meet, the diagonals meet at right angles there. So now we have a right angle triangle, triangle ABE, and we can find the length of AB, since AB is the hypotenuse, and we'll do that with this theorem of Pythagoras. So hypotenuse squared equals one side squared plus the other side squared, Pythag. The hypotenuse is AB squared is equal to AE squared plus EB squared. AB squared equals AE was 24 squared plus, and EB is 7 squared. 24 squared means 24 times 24, which is 576, plus, and 7 squared means 7 times 7, which is 49. And when we add the two, we end with AB squared is 625. But again, we don't want AB squared, we want only AB. So we'll take the square root both sides. Therefore, AB is 25. Well, that's the length of AB, it's 25. Then, if we go to the other triangle, triangle ADE, that one is also a right angle triangle. Oops, since if the one angle on the right hand side is 90 degrees, the other one has to be 90. So we have a right angle triangle, and again we can work out AD's length with the theorem of Pythagoras. Hypotenuse squared is equal to one side squared plus the other side squared, Pythag. The hypotenuse there is AD squared is equal to AE squared plus DE squared. AD squared equals AE's length is 25 squared plus DE squared is 10 squared. Again, this kite was definitely not drawn to scale. But let's continue. 24 squared means 24 times 24, which is 576, plus 10 squared means 10 times 10, which is 100. When we add the two, we end with AD squared is 676. Take the square root both sides, and we get AD is 26. And just remember, the question asked for the lengths of all the sides. So now, since this is a kite, if AB is 25, BC will also be 25, and if AD is 26, then DC will also be 26. This question wants us to find the area of the kite. Now, from the previous sum, we knew that AE is equal to EC, and that AC was given that it's 48, therefore AE is 24 centimeters. So now for the area of the kite, remember this is a right angle and that's a right angle. So we can calculate the area of triangle ABE, a right angle triangle. And the formula, area of a right angle triangle is half times base times perpendicular height, half times EB times AE. EB is 7, AE is 24. When you work that out, you'll find that the area is 84 centimeters squared. And then for the other triangle, triangle ADE, which is also a right angle triangle, the formula, area of a triangle, half times base times perpendicular height, half times DE times AE. Half times 10 times 24, 120 centimeters squared. But remember, there's 4 triangles. 2 look the same and the other 2 look the same. So we can say the area is 84 times 2 plus 120 times 2. 84 times 2, 168 plus 120 times 2, 240. When we add that, the total area of our kite, 408 centimeters squared. Thank you for watching my video. If you click on the video in the left hand corner, it will take you to the next video where I will discuss typical exam questions on the Theorem of Pythagoras as you would find it in the Grade 8 syllabus. On the right hand side, there's geometry in the Grade 8 syllabus.